Sex is an inherently social thing, but that's not always the way it's approached. In this week's talk, we'll look at the promise and the payout from taking something that was meant to be a social thing and turning it into a solo thing.
How many of you guys remember the good old days when you went to a theater to watch the new movie? Anybody remember before? Okay. Somebody shout out, what was, if you look back across your life, the best movie theater experience you ever had? Star Wars? Jaws? Ooh, that's a good one. Raiders of the Lost Ark? Yeah. Dune? Yes. 1 and 2, both really good. IMAX Avatar. Oh, yeah. And all of you guys are nodding. You're like, yeah, that was great. Man, it's fun to go to the movies. Now, ask you the similar question. For those of you guys who said those things, who was watching it with you? You had that experience. Who was with you? Grandparents, parents, wife? Good man, right? Yeah. I love the good old days. I love going to movies. I had some great, I remember seeing Batman Begins in the IMAX, and wow, I'm a Batman fan. He's the greatest superhero. And so that was great. Great times. But I'll be willing to bet that whatever your greatest movie theater experience was, you were there watching it with somebody. I think very few people would say the best experience I ever had is when I went to the drive-in by myself for a double feature for 6 hours. Right? Nobody, we do that together. In fact, one time I had promised my fiance that I would wait to watch Star Wars Episode 3 with her, and my dad and my uncle were going to watch Star Wars over Christmas break, and I said, well, I'd probably better honor that. So instead, I went to watch a movie by myself. I watched Madagascar. Anybody remember that? Marty, Alex, right? I watched that by myself. Here's the amazing thing. Great movie, not fun at all to watch a comedy by yourself. It's weird. It's not the same. My dad is here today. If you want to watch a comedy and laugh, watch it with my dad. He's got a great sense of humor, and you'll laugh when it's not even funny, okay? But movies are inherently a social experience. Going to the movie is just part of the deal. And today I want to talk to you about why, when you take something that's inherently a social experience and make it a solo experience, it changes things. It messes with things. We're in a series talking about sexuality, and just like movies, sex is an inherently social experience. It's the way God designed it. Now, if this is your first time here, we don't talk about sex all the time, but we don't shy away from stuff that is part of our lives, and we're in a series about that. Let me catch you up real quick. The last 2 weeks, we talked about the idea that God created us. He designed sex. It's not a bad thing. It's meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to bring fulfillment and happiness to our lives. But because it is inherently adhesive, because it's meant to bind people together, we run into some real problems when we take it out of bounds, when we use it differently than how he designed it. And we talked about that. You can catch up on that if you want on any of our social media channels. You can listen to the podcast. Today, I want to talk to you about another problem that happens when we take something that God designed to be good and we use it differently than the maker designed it to be used. It's kind of like any of you ladies that your husband has figured out that the butter knife makes a good substitute flathead screwdriver. Okay? It does turn the screw. It also bends the knife forever. I have been forbidden from using butter knives as flathead screwdrivers forever. Not joking, there's a screwdriver in the butter knife drawer now. Okay? Because when you use stuff outside of the way it was intended, you distort things, you break things. Sex is the same way. Okay? If you're taking notes, or you can follow along on your phone, a few things you want to write down. Here's the big idea today. Sex is a fundamentally social experience. That's the design. We are so fortunate to have the person who designed our species. We have this huge commentary on how best to operate as human beings. And God said when he designed sexuality, he designed it to be a social experience between two human beings who are physically compatible, emotionally compatible, relationally and spiritually compatible. I'll just read this to you because I forgot to put it in the notes for our team. But Matthew 19, 4 and 5, Jesus says, God made male and female. And this explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife. When Jesus describes and defines sex, he defines it as a social thing. We talked last week about how it is a relational adhesive. And that's a strong dynamic. It's meant to be shared between two people. However, we as humans have figured out that a lot of things that are meant to be social, I can do all by myself. And if there's ever a society in the history of the world that has been individualistic, it's this one. We can do all kinds of things by ourselves. And sex is one of those things that happens a lot, especially in our culture. Something that goes from social to solo. Let me give you a couple of stats that probably won't surprise you. Because you live in the same world that I do, you watch the same news and the same TV, you guys go to the same kinds of schools, you get it. 87% of men under the age of 35 view porn regularly. 87%. That's how widespread that is in our culture. 20%, recent study found, 20% of cell phone web searches are for porn. Wow. Google is here just like shaking their heads. Or actually, they're probably like high-fiving. Yes, more money. Woo. Okay, I don't know. Sorry if you work for Google. I don't know. Okay, it's a lot. The single most popular porn site in America, and I won't name it because I don't want to give them any extra credit, but 80% of you guys probably know it, okay? The most popular porn site alone generates more traffic than Netflix, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest combined. Whoa! Okay? My kids watch a lot of Netflix. That is, okay, it's a bunch. And I know right now at this point, guys are like, oh man, I came to the wrong week. Why did I come this week? And women are like, yeah, that's right, you boys. Well, hold on. Because recent studies have also told us that same really popular porn site, 38% of the viewers on there are women. 45% of women under 35 view porn regularly. And let me define, because there's a difference between romance novels and romance novels, okay? Some of you guys, you know what I'm talking about. Very spicy, very depictive, very descriptive, okay? The sexually explicit romance novels, the sale of that has doubled in the last 6 years. It is now the top-selling genre on e-readers like Kindle. Top category. Really spicy, descriptive books, okay? It's very, very common in our society, and it's increasingly becoming accepted in our society. Well, the boys will be boys. Well, mom's going to read her books. And I want to just help you to see, it's everybody's doing it, so I can. Everybody's doing it, but it's not good. Because sex is an inherently social thing. And when you take it outside of the way it was designed, stuff goes badly. Let me show you just a couple of negative outcomes that happen when you take what God designed to be shared between a husband and wife and you do it all alone with yourself. Write these things down. First, sex with a screen or a page deepens loneliness. It deepens loneliness, okay? Let me recap from last week. Lots of chemicals are going on in your brain when any sexual activity is happening with your body, whether it's with a person or not. Dopamine is one of those things that makes it addictive and makes it fun. But there's this other chemical, oxytocin, that comes to your brain. And we talked about it a little bit last week. It encourages you to form a deep, meaningful, emotional bond with the person that you're sharing that experience with. Now, can you imagine what's happening in your brain when your brain is telling you form a deep connectional bond with this person, and it's not a person, it's a screen. There's nobody there. It's not a person, it's a book. It's not a person, it's the ceiling. There's nobody there. There's a high correlation between porn usage and deep depression and loneliness because it promises fulfillment, but then it pulls the rug out from under you. It hurts. It's not how God designed it. Here's another problem. Write this down. Sex in the fantasy world puts a damper on the real world. Okay? Because I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but real women don't act like women in porn shows. They're not actually into those things. They don't have the same values. They're not doing kinky stuff with step siblings, okay? That's not real. Real life pool boys do not have abs and are not secretly set to inherit a generational wealth and are really into kinky BDSM stuff. They're just pool boys who are trying to make minimum wage and clean your pool, okay? It's not real. It's not real. Studies have shown us that when people consume, especially pornographic images, they tend to see a lot of different bodies and scenarios in sequence, in a row. And there's no human, the most beautiful woman in the world cannot be 10 different looks in a row. And when you train the brain for that, you create something that real life can never do. When you train your mind for that awesome guy in the novel, no human man has the technique or the stamina or the desire the way that. And so you create expectations that real life can never measure up to. And you train your mind to expect something that is impossible in the real world. Puts a damper on things. And another problem that I just want to point out, you probably know this, but just in case you don't, write this down. Sex on demand is highly addictive. Is highly addictive because it uses the same reward pathway in your brain that nicotine does. It uses the same reward pathway in your brain that cocaine does, the same one that alcohol does, the same one that spending money does, all of that same stuff. In 1954, okay, I was a psychology major in school. I don't know if you guys knew that. I'm going back to grad school to get Bible degree stuff because I studied psych. Yay! Okay. 1954, researchers did an experiment on rats. They were trying to figure out if we stick a tiny needle into the brain of a rat and stimulate the brain with electrical signals, let's see what happens. We are horrible to our animal companions here in the world. But in the 50s, nobody thought about that. So they stuck needles into the brain of a rat. Let's see what happens when we stimulate different ideas. Okay, that was fun. Well, poor rats. They finally found that if we put the probe right here in their brain, it stimulates the same reward center as in the brain as sex does. And so here's what they did. They wired the probe into the brain of a rat, and then they connected the wire to a lever. And the rat could press the lever as often as it wanted to have the same experience as having sex with Mrs. Rat. Do you know what they found? This is not going to be a surprise to anybody. The rats ended up really liking the lever. They pressed the lever, some of them up to 2,000 times an hour. Do you know how many seconds are in an hour? 3,600. Okay? So the rats just mashing the lever, they would hit the lever for 15 to 20 hours straight. They wouldn't eat, they wouldn't drink, they would smash the lever until they passed out from exhaustion. Mother rats that were nursing mothers would ignore their hungry baby rat pups and keep smashing the lever until they passed out from exhaustion because it's addictive. So here God is up here saying, I designed sex to be good. I made it to be enjoyable. I want it to be a positive. But I also know the potential for it to be used in a way that hurts people. And that's why we have these guidelines in the Bible for how it's supposed to be handled. Ultimately, lust in whatever variety that it comes in, it's like saltwater. It promises refreshment, but it actually hurts you. I don't know if any of you guys, anybody ever been to the ocean and accidentally swallowed some salt water? Great for your hair, really bad for your tongue. It tastes bad. That's your body telling you, hey, maybe don't drink this. Okay? You probably know this already because maybe you read some books. Okay? In the olden days when they were sailing across the sea, right, going out to sea was dangerous. One of the leading causes of death from people who got lost at sea was not sinking, it wasn't drowning, it was dying of thirst. And you think, how ironic to die of thirst. You're literally in the middle of the ocean. There's like 1,000 feet of water underneath you, but it's salt water. Just in case you ever get lost at sea or stranded on an island with Gilligan and his friends, you should know that when you drink salt water, the salt content is so potent that even though you're literally drinking water, the salt is drying you out faster than the water hydrates you. And the more you drink it, the thirstier you get until you die. And lust promises refreshment, but it dehydrates you faster than it refreshes you. And at the end of a moment of fun, you have regret, and you're more cut off, and you're lonelier, and you're more disillusioned than ever. God is against lust, not because he doesn't want you to have fun, but write this down. God is against lust because it hurts you. It's why it's a big deal to him. Jesus said this, Matthew chapter 5, verses 27 and 28. He said, "You've heard the commandment that says, you must not commit adultery. But I say, anyone who even looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart." Here's what Jesus is saying. In my mind, the problem is the heart. Even not if the body is engaged in it. The problem is the mind, even if you're not physically acting out on it, because that's the part that hurts you. He recognizes the danger of that. And he is saying, in his economy, trying to keep us healthy, trying to have marriages that have good sex lives, he says, just looking at the other girl, just checking out and fantasizing about the other guy, it's just as damaging as cheating and abuse and hooking up and shacking up and being a Packers fan. It's just as dangerous to your health and well-being. He didn't put that. It's not in some translations, but okay, he wants us to be healthy. Now, I understand that very few people walked in here today thinking that porn was great and nobody is doing it, okay? You know, if you struggle with lust, you struggle because you know you probably shouldn't. You may be like many people who are doing it compulsively, even if you know that you don't want to, and in the moment it sounds good, and then afterward it sounds bad. Nobody came in here saying, I need someone to tell me this is wrong. What we need is to know what to do about it, because it is a powerful dynamic that's addictive. The good news is the Bible, so many spices. It's not just saying, don't do this. It's saying, don't do this. Here's why, and here's how to live healthier. Let me give you a few pieces of advice from the designer of life. If you don't want to settle for salt water and increasingly get thirstier and thirstier and more unfulfilled sexually, let me give you a few things from the Bible. You're going to want to write these down. First is this: drink from your own well. Drink from your own well. Proverbs says this, all right? Chapter 5, verse 15, and then verse 20. Drink from your own well, my son. Be faithful and true to your wife. Why delight yourself with prostitutes, embracing what isn't yours? He said, hey, if you're married, there's a really good exercise to help you to have a healthy sex life instead of a broken one. Enjoy sex with your spouse. Now, men, come on, man. If there was ever an amen opportunity, that was it right there. The Bible is literally telling you, drink from your own well. Amen. It's biblical, babe. I heard it. I wrote that down. Some of you guys, you don't normally take notes, and that's the only thing you wrote down today. What was that? Proverbs what? I'm going to write it on my wall, the bedroom. Drink from your own well, okay? And I understand. I know. But Pastor Chris, you just said that real life women are not porn women and real life guys don't look like pool boys. That's true. Okay? But I want you to consider that porn girls did not carry your children for you. Porn girls did not stand across the altar and promise to stay faithful to you for the rest of her life and your life. Okay? Porn girls are not interested in your dad bod when you come home from the gym, but your wife is. That's cool. Hey, ladies, your husband is not going to act like the romance novel guy. He is not going to look like the porn guy, but the porn guy is not mowing the lawn. It's not driving your kids to school. Is not seeing you when you haven't shaved or showered or done makeup and think, whoo, she's hot. Okay? Take advantage of it. God said, hey, if you are married, invest in your marriage. The grass is greener on the other side of the fence. Maybe you need to water and cultivate your own lawn. Okay? That's why it's so important that the church teaches that sex is healthy and good and beautiful when it's between married people. Okay? If you're married, drink from your own well. Here's another one. If you are single, whether you're 16 and single or 65 and newly single, I'll give you some advice. Hit snooze on your sex drive. 2 weeks ago, we talked about Song of Songs or Song of Solomon, depending on how your translation of the Bible has it. It is an entire book in the Bible devoted to celebrating sex and romance. However, even something talking positively about sex is potentially hazardous to people who ought not be having sex right now. And so several times embedded in this book saying sex between married people is good, there's a warning. I'll read just one of them. It's in chapter 8. It happens several times. It goes like this. Promise me, O women of Jerusalem, not to awaken love until the time is right. Now, if you don't have any sex drive, there's probably something malfunctioning biologically in you. Sex drive isn't wrong. It's not bad. And I don't believe that God's desire is for us to completely suppress sexuality. It's not about restricting it so much as it's about redirecting it in a healthier way. And if you are in a season where you are not married, then you definitely don't need to be piling on to the sex drive that's already in your body. What does that look like, Chris? Okay, if you're dating, you might need to tell your girlfriend, stop sending pictures. I think you're hot, but I really am struggling. Okay? Or girls, you're going to have to deal with whatever I'm wearing today because I'm not sending stuff. Okay? Because you don't want to lean into that. You may need to stop listening to some of those songs. Well, I don't pay attention to the words, and yet somehow you're singing them along with the song. And if you stop and think about it, wait a minute, what is this saying? Maybe this isn't healthy for me right now. Okay? If you're single, and this is not squashing your sex drive. It's saying, I'm going to redirect it in a positive way. And if you struggle with lust and you're like, look, man, the sex drive is in overdrive. I don't have to do anything. It's just there. The same dopamine that your brain is telling you need when you are tempted to pull up the phone or whatever, okay? Working out gives the same dopamine release in your head. Listening to music gives the same dopamine release in your head. Eating a healthy snack or an unhealthy snack gives the same thing. Redirect it. If you find yourself in a routine where the same time every week or the same time every day or the same time every month you're falling into a problem, let me give you an honestly really helpful thing. Do something else that's rewarding instead. Okay? You got to make changes. Okay? For married people and single people, 2 more things. Write this down. Live with a wide margin. Okay? If you know how slippery the slope is, don't go next to the slope. When I was growing up, I was not the lean over the edge boy. That was my brother. My brother would go right to the edge and like, woo, wow, that sucks. Yeah. Okay. I'm the one, don't worry about the camera, guys. I'm the one who's like scooting up to the edge like this. I don't want to, no, I'm going to scoot back because I don't want to fall. I don't do medium heights, like super high heights where I'm passed out into oblivion before I hit the ground. It's fine. If I can visualize myself being physically maimed before I pass, I'm not going anywhere near the edge because it's dangerous. Same chapter where the Bible says, drink from your own well. Proverbs chapter 5, verse 3. It goes like this: the lips of an immoral woman are as sweet as honey, but in the end, she is as bitter as poison, as dangerous as a double-edged sword. So now, my sons, listen to me. Never stray away from what I am about to say. Verse 8, stay away from her. Don't go near the door of her house. Because here's a dad. We believe, we're not sure this is Solomon, but I think it is. Okay? Here's a dad who knows how tempting it is and how easy it is to get stuck and how hard it is to get out. And he's telling his boys, do yourself a favor and stay far away so that you don't get sucked in. Okay? You need to live with a wide margin. If you're tired of being satisfied on salt water, or if you don't want to become addicted to lust, you need to be careful, because our society has figured out that sells stuff really well. I don't know how many of you guys have ever noticed, hey, it's a new show on Amazon Prime, new show on Netflix. They want to throw everything but the kitchen sink into the first episode because they know that people associate that dopamine release in their head with, I like the show, and they'll keep watching. Okay? You got to be careful. I'm not saying you can't watch TV, but I am saying you need to be picky about the things that you watch. You may need to blacklist some stuff from your media library. You may need to blacklist some apps from your phone. Well, I'm just scrolling. Yeah, but the stuff that's in your feed is not helping you. And you don't intend to go down that road until something flashes up on the screen and you're like, ooh, well, maybe. Just a minute. Happens that fast, okay? So be careful. Consider getting some kind of accountability software on your phone or on your computer. There are really good ones out there that will help you. But it's dangerous. And you don't want to get stuck in it. Last thing to write down is this: if you want to live healthier, if you're tired of unfulfilling promises that don't deliver and leave you feeling gross after, don't fight alone. Don't fight alone. God said stay away from this stuff because it's dangerous, because it's addictive, because plenty of people wander into it not expecting to get stuck. I have yet to talk to someone in the throes of substance abuse that said, you know what, Chris, when I had my first drink, I thought I'd like to become an alcoholic. I haven't met any. It was, I'm just having a drink with the friends. I'm just having a drink to relax. It's just one. And then all of a sudden, well, it's just a couple. And then all of a sudden, I lost count of how many it is, and I'm late for work because I'm drunk. No one steps into it expecting to be stuck, but they get stuck. Okay, it's not just addictive for rats, it's addictive for humans. A recent study found that 50% of people in America who view porn do it compulsively and say, I don't want to keep doing it. I don't like it when I'm doing it. I intend to stop, and I just can't. It's difficult. It's a real widespread problem. And it's also a problem that has a lot of shame attached to it. And so there's a strong urge to keep it buried and keep it hidden. But the problem is lust grows really well in the dark. And if you're deep into it and you can't get out yourself, and that might be you today, you need help. Let me tell you, we are working on this, but there's still a stigma in the church about counseling. If I saw someone, okay, if Roger walked in here today and he's limping because his ankle is turned that way, okay, Roger, what happened to your ankle? Oh, I fell and I broke it. It's the bones sticking out. Yeah, right? Okay, I was Cowboys fan for a day, he says. Haha, it hurts you. Kick the wall out of anger. That's probably been me. Okay, if he's walking through with a clearly broken foot, and I say, man, why are you walking? Why don't you go to the doctor? Oh, I don't need a doctor. I'm fine. I'm going to fix it myself. I'm going to set it. I'm going to set it myself. Okay? I'm not thinking, man, that guy is tough. I'm thinking, man, that guy is a fool. Your leg is broken. You need medical care to set the bone. Can I tell you, there are people in this community that God has gifted to help people out of things they're stuck in. God has placed that dysfunction in our society, in our world. There are people who have the spiritual gift of helping people to talk through why this thing keeps coming up and to help them build a plan for being healthy again. And seeking help is not weakness, it's wisdom. Maybe you need to have a conversation with a parent. Maybe you need to have a conversation with a mentor in your life that you trust. Maybe you need to have a conversation with your spouse. But it's difficult, so don't fight alone, because ultimately, whatever brand, whatever flavor, whatever way that it comes into your life, lust is saltwater. It promises refreshment, and in the moment it's fun, and as soon as it's over, it's regret. It's not refreshing because it's not the way God built it. Sex is a social experience that God wants to bring happiness and joy to married lives, but it can just as easily bring destruction when it goes out of bounds. So my challenge to you is take it seriously and take steps to protect yourself, because you don't want to be hurt by it anymore. And if you find yourself in too deep, get help. Ask for help, because God wants to help you, but you got to take steps as well. Let's not be a place that represses sexuality, but let's be a place that redeems it. And let it be a thing that brings joy to your life instead of pain.
Hey there, just wanted to take a minute to say thanks for watching. If a friend sent you this link, it's because they believe what we talked about today is going to make a positive impact in your life. And if it did, there's probably somebody that you care about who could benefit from it. So take a minute to share this video with somebody. Post it to your timeline or send them a direct link. And if you're able, take a minute to give using the link at the bottom of the description on this video. One last thing. Maybe you feel a tug at your soul and you're ready to take the next step in your spiritual life and form a relationship with God. We've got folks here who would love to talk with you about it. So just text prayer to the number on your screen and we'll follow up with you. It's also in the description on this video in case that helps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.